welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher. So let's jump right into it. We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. What is going on, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and welcome back to another video. Today we're here for the top 10 most expensive Bronze Age keys of all time. With that said, guys, before we get started in this video, I want to remind you guys, if you are not a current subscriber of the channel and have been enjoying some of my content, do me a favor, go ahead and click the subscribe button for me because it does help the channel out. I want you to tap that like button because it helps the algorithm out. And of course, turn on notifications because it lets you guys know when I post new videos. But we're here for the top 10 most expensive Bronze Age comics of all time. So a little bit of information. I took a 7.0 grade on all of these books, and I used a 90-day average off of GPA to determine the most expensive ones. With that said, I think it's a better option using the 90-day with the market pulling in right here like we've been talking about. So instead of the last sale, even though I will mention some last sales because they are relevant, regardless, the 90-day I think is the way to go. With that said, at number 10, guys, is a copy of Incredible Hulk number 180, the first cameo appearance of Wolverine. Now, this book was published in 1974, and we all know appears Wolverine on the last page in the last panel. This book can be had right now for $1,916, which is actually not bad for the first cameo appearance of a major character. Again, I still think this book is undervalued. I'd rather have the 181, but hey, if you can't go out and get that, 180 is the next best thing. I'm all over this one, guys. At number 9 on this list is a copy of House of Secrets number 92, the first appearance of Swamp Thing, and this classic Bernie Wrightson cover. This book was published in 1971 and of course features, like I said, the first appearance of the Swamp Thing. You can have a 7.0 copy right now for $2,811, and I still think this book is well worth it. I believe this was on one of the Hot 10 breakdowns last week. A book, a monster key that nobody seems to be talking about. It always seems to appear in everybody's top cover list as well. A monster DC book that I think is way undervalued. At number 8 on this list is a copy of Werewolf by Night number 32 and the first appearance of Moon Knight. You guys know how hot this book was leading up to the Moon Knight series on Disney Plus. Now you can have the 90-day average for this book for a 7.0 copy is $2,967, and of course this book was published in 1975. But hold up, guys, the last sale for this book was $2,025. We're talking about a $900 drop from 90-day average to the last sale. If you are looking for this book right now and are looking to buy a copy, do yourself a favor, stay under that last sale because I do think this book is going to come in a little bit more. There are some people out there who are upset with the Moon Knight series. I thought it was okay, nothing to write home about. Regardless, I do think for the future this book is going to continue to go higher, but jump in at the right price here because this book has taken a dip. At number 7 on this list is a copy of Tomb of Dracula number 10 and the first appearance of Blade. And we all know that Blade is coming to the MCU sooner rather than later. We heard his voice at the end of the Eternals, and he will show up in a future MCU movie. Regardless, this book was published in 1973 and can be had for $2,970. To me, I think this book is still way undervalued, and I do think we're going to get another pop the closer we get to that Blade movie. When that trailer hits, it's time to sell, so make sure you secure your copy way before then. I do think you have a couple of years before we actually see him on the screen, so buy this book now while you can and probably sell it when we get that first trailer. At number 6 on this list is a book that nobody is talking about. It is a copy of ScoobyDoo number 1, the first appearance of ScoobyDoo in comics. Now, this book was published in 1970, believe it or not, and the last sale for this book was back in 2019 for $2,400. Well, why is this at number 6 then? Because I'm thinking with the market the way it is right now, 3 years later, this book is probably worth just over $3,000. It is a scarce book. I was shocked when I saw it that appear at number 6 on this list, but regardless, again, if you're a Scooby-Doo fan, I know I am, and if you're into scarce books, you might want to pick this bad boy up if you can find it. Either way, it's a nice key to have for the future if they ever do some kind of, Scooby-Doo movie. I know they've done them in the past, but who knows? Everything retro seems to be getting hot again, so if they do another one, you may see a jump in this book. At number 5 on this list is a book you guys know all too well. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 129, the first appearance of Frank Castle and the Punisher. This book was published in 1974 and of course features one of my all-time favorite characters. You can pick up a 7.0 copy of this book for $3,016, and you guys know I have been talking about this book for a better part of 2 years, and if you haven't bought it by now, I still think there's room. I've been watching a couple of live claim sales. I'm all over Instagram, and this book is still selling at record prices. If you don't own your copy, go out and get one right now, because this is one of my top picks out there right now, especially for the Bronze Age. At number 4 on this list is a copy of Marvel Spotlight number 5 and the first appearance of Ghost Rider. That's right, Johnny Blaze appears as Ghost Rider for the first time. This book was published in 1972 and a 7.0 copy can be had for $4,477, a monster increase over the past year. You guys know I've been all over this book as well as the Amazing Spider-Man 129, two of my better picks for the Bronze Age. Characters that I think the MCU are going to be using going forward down the line. You may get a nice 5-year run out of these characters, so I still think there's a lot of room to go. Definitely a book I'd be picking up right now. At number 3 on this list is a monster key. Giant Size X-Men number 1, the first appearance of the new X-Men team. This book was published in 1972 and features a host of new characters, first appearance characters like Colossus, Storm, so on and so forth. Some monster X-Men characters where we have grown to love. With that said, like I said, this book was published in 1975 and a 7.0 copy can be had for $5,933. About 6 months to a year ago, this book was going absolutely bonkers. I'm talking about tripling almost overnight. It has since come down again, but to me, I think this is one of the better Bronze Age keys you could buy. There's a little bit of a dispute out there of which are the best X-Men keys that you should be buying right now. A lot of people out there will go out and say X-Men number 1 from the Silver Age. I can't deny them that, but the major characters, the major ones that we've seen in the X-Men universe before are these characters right here. I still think they're both great buys. And it comes down to which can you afford. Can you afford the big boy, the X-Men one, or can you afford the giant size X-Men one? We'll get to the third option at a later time. But for now, this is a great pickup. At number 2 on this list is a copy of Incredible Hulk number 181, the first full appearance of Wolverine. Now, with that said, I am shocked that this book is not number 1. This one was published in 1974, and a 7.0 copy can be had for $7,691. A monster increase over the last couple of years. As soon as we got that announcement that the X-Men were bought out by Disney from Fox, this book went absolutely bananas, and I don't think it's hit its highest mark. With that said, it has trickled down a little bit over the past 6 months. I am not sure if it's going to continue to trickle down or not. It hasn't come down a lot, but it has come down a little bit. Regardless, I think that this is a great investment for everybody out there who hasn't owned this book before. Down the line, I think you're going to get a monster increase once we see the Wolverine in the MCU. With that said, a little bit of a caveat. There are a ton of copies out there right now. You can find these books for sale all over eBay, all over Instagram, so just be careful. I do think you might get a little bit more of a decrease before we have a flattening out. But again, definitely a book I want to own. And at the top spot is a book. I don't know if anybody out there has heard of this one, but guess what? I'm sure a few of you guys out there have heard of it. It is a copy of Cerebus, the Aardvark number 1. What? Exactly. Not a book that anybody really talks about. But guess what? This book is super scarce. It's actually so scarce that back then people were creating fakes of this book, and the fakes are actually worth money. I didn't include the fake copies on this list because, it's not a true comic, to believe it or not, because it's not published by whoever published this book. It's a fake. It's something out there that's not actually made, by a distribution company. Regardless, guys, a 7.0 copy can be had for $8,160. The last sale back in May or March of this year. This book was published in 1978. Do yourself a favor. If you want to own this book, you're going to spend a pretty penny doing it. And like I said, you got to make sure what you buy is not a fake. A monster book that nobody seems to be talking about. I don't know if I heard some rumors back then that they were going to do some type of show about this character. I could be completely wrong, but I want to say I heard something maybe about a year to a year and a half ago about this character, about this book. But again, I don't know if anything has come to fruition or not. But again, a monster book appearing at number 1 that I think most people out there haven't heard of. that's it for the list this week, guys. Again, a monster list of Bronze Age keys of books. I probably want to own 8 out of 10 of them. I think I do actually own 8 out of 10 of them, believe it or not. A lot of these books, like I said, are keys that are going to be getting hot in the near future that I think that Marvel will use some of these characters going forward in the MCU. I brought it up in one of my last videos that Marvel has used their big guns already, like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, those characters, Spider-Man. They're going to go to some of these secondary characters now. They're not going to have the giant run they had before, but they will have a smaller run here, probably going to be on Disney Plus and some movies mixed in. So a lot of these characters I still feel are undervalued, and some great books on this list. Another thing I want to throw at you guys is that if you haven't checked out my Diamond Select Toys video of the Dark Phoenix, make sure you go check that out, because members of the channel are entered to win that statue at the end of the month. If you're a member, by the time we get to June 30th, you're automatically entered to win that bad boy. So with that said, this is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.